the Wrangler, you're going to find 13 different trim levels in Canada, 14 different trim levels in the States, with a little bit of a caveat because we are looking at 2-door versus 4-door, which essentially equates to a different trim level choice. So in the lower trims, you're going to find this thing available 2-door. Otherwise, we're looking at the 4-door configuration, which gives us even more interior space and a boatload more towing capacity on top of that, which is amazing. Now, underneath the hood of the Wrangler, we've got a series of different options for engine choices. So we're all the way from the regular 2-liter, we've got the 3.6-liter Pentastar, you've got a turbo diesel down in the States, and then the 6.4-liter Hemi V8 you're going to find inside of the Rubicon 392. Check down in the description of the video because you'll be able to find the build link for this specific Wrangler. You'll also be able to find the contact information for Pickering Jeep, who were nice enough to give me this vehicle for the afternoon to shoot the video for you today. So if you're looking for a Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep vehicle, Pickering, these guys are fantastic to work with, so absolutely recommend checking them out. Now the Sahara behind me has a few extra niceties added on from the factory with some other options available, like advanced safety groups, basic safety groups, and a few others. Looking at max water fording inside of the Wrangler, when we look at the 35-inch rubber, we're getting 33.6-inch max water fording, which is fantastic. And that's right from the factory. Now, the Jeep Wrangler is going to have some great standard features like skid plates, looking at the transfer case and fuel tank and things like that to help keep the underside of the vehicle protected if we're going off-road through rugged terrain and rocks and things like that. Looking at the 4x4 systems, we've got a few different options that are available. We'll find the Command-Trac in the majority of the Wrangler lineup, with the Rock-Trac available on top of that. We've got stability bar disconnects, sway bar disconnects, and things like that. So one of the big benefits there is it's going to help level the vehicle out and give us improved traction if we are taking this thing off-road, which is amazing. Now, we do also have options for beadlock capable wheels right from the factory, or we could look at it aftermarket instead. And one of the benefits of that beadlock system is that if you're airing your tires down, that beadlock system is essentially going to make sure that the tire bead doesn't slip off the rim as you go. So very, very useful when you air those tires down. Like I mentioned, we do have an option right from the factory and tons of aftermarket solutions that are available too. But I love these fender flares. These things pop, it looks amazing. But before we get to the front end, we've got all of our badges along the side. So we've got our trail rated badge. This one has a tubular step that's installed right from the factory as well. We've got beefier suspension inside of the Sahara and different types of suspension depending on the trim level of the vehicle that you're in. But moving towards the front end, in the Wrangler, you're going to find either halogen or LED lights. We've got an amazing tech group called the LED Lighting Group, and that's going to give us LED lights pretty much around the vehicle. So our LED headlamps, fog lamps, tails, and things like that. So big benefit there is just it brightens things up even more than our traditional halogens, but it's going to be a matter of preference which way you go. The bumper there is fantastic, this beautiful Jeep styling. We've got this beautiful metallic look when our fog's there. We've got our front tow hooks there as well, so we've got 2 tow hooks in the front. And then the style, the way that it looks, is going to be dependent on which model of the vehicle that you're in. Because you get into the 4xe and they're actually painted blue, which makes it pop that tiny little bit more. You're not going to be confused when you've got a Wrangler coming at you. We've got this great looking front end, grille there with different styles, again, depending on the trim level of the vehicle that you're looking at, and overall styling in general. So whether we've got these black moldings or whether it's body color is going to depend on the trim level that you've got and the packages that you've added on. Now, one other thing that's available across pretty much the entire Wrangler lineup is an integrated trail camera. And that would sit just right in the grille there, which, I mean, if you're going to be doing some heavy off-roading, I would probably recommend you look at that option right from the factory. One of the benefits there, through the uConnect media screen, we'd be able to select that camera to see what's going on in front of us. You know, getting underneath the hood of the Wrangler is straightforward, so no release on the inside. It's actually done on the outside here. So along both sides, we've got these little releases. It slid off fairly easily for me there, but if not, we've got 2 different clips. So we've got our main safety clip, and then another one just kind of as like an emergency latch. So we just make sure both of those are removed. And then as we lift up, we've got a little bar in the middle there. We're just going to release it off to the right side. And then this one, just a regular prop bar. But I mean, you saw there, very easy in order to open this thing up. Now, this engine is the 3.6 liter Pentastar V6. And it's the same engine we're going to find in a lot of other Jeep and Dodge vehicles. Fantastic engine. Power-wise, it pushes out 285 horsepower and 260 pound-feet of torque. So an impressive amount of power, and it can handle pretty much anything you're going to throw at it, which is fantastic. But looking at the Wrangler lineup in general, we've got the option for the 3.6 Pentastar. We also have the option for this one with e-torque. And one of the big benefits with the e-torque system is it gives you a lot more launch torque. So if you're going to be pulling a boat or you're doing a little bit more rock crawling, things like that, having that e-torque system is really beneficial. But we've got a series of different engine choices underneath the hood of the Wrangler. We've got the 2-liter turbocharged, we've got the 2 types of 3.6 Pentastars, we've got the 6.4-liter Hemi V8 we'll find in the Rubicon 392, and then in the States, you also have the option for the 3-liter diesel. Turbo diesel, I should say. Unfortunately, you're not going to find the diesel up in Canada, but it still is nice that that engine is available inside of this thing. So which way you go is going to depend on which trim level of the vehicle you're in and what your needs are. Like, are you looking for the 6-speed manual? Because if you are, it's not available across the board. You have to be in a specific trim level with a specific engine. So it's going to depend on what you want out of your Jeep. But, I mean, this is nice underneath. We don't have much of an engine cover. Like, we've got a teeny little bit of components there that are covered off, but we at least have our heat shield over top, which is great. If you're technically inclined, doing some things yourself, we can easily top up fluids as necessary. We could easily check our oil, change our oil as necessary as well. Adjusting the lights, a little bit tricky, not impossible if you're technically inclined or mechanically inclined and you want to do it yourself. But one thing, I've been stressing it a little bit more in a lot of my videos recently, you want to make sure that you're at least regularly changing the oil, but also regularly maintaining it. Like, it's kind of mind-blowing how many people don't regularly maintain their cars. If you want the best possible life out of your car, make sure you take it in for regularly scheduled maintenance. Like, at a bare minimum, change the oil regularly, but you definitely want to make sure you're performing regular maintenance to get the best life out of your car, but also to make sure that your manufacturer's warranty stays valid all at the same time. It's something that not a lot of people think about, but it's important all at the same time. Filling up fuel inside of the Wrangler is straightforward, so along our driver's side, non-locked cover, and then we at least have a physical cap. Now, if you're concerned about fuel theft with the crazy prices the way they are right now, you could look at some aftermarket locked options there. So just a key, essentially a locked cover that goes in so that people just can't twist in order to yank it out. So that is an option if you really want it, and if you're concerned about fuel theft. Now, when we look at fuel quality, the majority of the Wrangler lineup requires just regular 87 octane. So regular gas is all you need to use in pretty much everything, but the 6.4 liter. So if you're after that 6.4 liter Hemi, a premium fuel is where you want to be, like 91 minimum octane. And that's going to be dependent on where in the world you are, because if you've got a Wrangler and you're out in parts of Europe, your 95 or 97 octane is your minimum. So as long as you're meeting that minimum manufacturer's recommendation, you're good. So like I said, the majority of the Wrangler lineup is just your regular 87, except for that 6.4 liter Hemi, where you have to use at least a 91. But towards the back end of the Wrangler, we've got this great looking style, which again mimics what we're going to see in a good part of the Wrangler body there. But we've got our plastic bumper there, and then we've also got our rear tow hook. Single rear tow hook, and like I mentioned, we've got our 2 in the front on top of that. But good styling throughout. We've got these great looking LED tail lamps. The lamps that you're going to get are going to be dependent on the version of the vehicle that you're in and which packages you've added on. One thing that's going to be standard though is our full-size spare tire, which really beneficial if you're going to be going off-road, because if you pop a tire, it's nice to know that we've got one rear mounted in order to be able to change out as necessary. And then we do have our backup camera right in the rear mounted tire there, which is useful if we need it. Now, one thing, in one of the safety groups, we do have the option for that reverse sensing system. So the beeping that we get as we back up, which is not going to be standard across the Wrangler lineup, but it is available there as an option. So if that beeping is something that you want, just go in knowing you can get it done at time of ordering from the factory, which is fantastic. And one other thing is that this one has the tow package that's available right from the factory. We've got our Class 2 hitch receiver, our 4 7-pin wiring harnesses on top of that. When we look at towing capacity inside of the Wrangler, 2,000 pound max towing capacity when we're looking at the 2-door. When we get into that 4-door, we're maxing out at 3,500 pound towing, which is pretty dang respectable. Getting into the cargo area of the Wrangler is straightforward. So we've got a little button along the back here. We're just going to push that, pop it open in the main piece, and then our separated glass. So very straightforward to pop this thing open. Now, obviously with this thing being the 4-door, a little bit more space back here, but you can see that we've got 2 individual buttons here. So or latches, I guess I should say. The first one is going to fold down the headrest. So we do have that option if we want to, just to fold down the headrest, or we can pull down the second one, and that's going to let us lower the seat down completely. Look at how much more that opens things up when we've got that second row seat folded down. Now, it's not a complete flat fold, but I mean, it's pretty dang close all at the same time, which is nice. Now, there is one thing that's kind of unique here, and that's also the flexibility to pull this down, which is going to show us our cup holders for the second row seats when we do. It's pretty cool. Looking off to the left-hand side, we've got a 12-volt power point back here. Other than that, nothing off to the left. We've got some hooks along the floor, so different cargo hooks. Off to the right, we do have our Alpine woofer in the back here. So this one does have the upgraded Alpine sound system, which sounds incredible. Now on top of that, we've got this piece here, which is locked into place. So we lift it up and we've got a little storage tray as well, which is fantastic. We've got a little piece along the bottom here as well we can pull out, and that's going to show us our jack stand. So if we ever need to change a tire ourselves, that's where we're going in order to make it happen. And then just easily reinstall the piece there, which is great. Taking a peek at the key fob for the Wrangler. So really nice look. We've got our Jeep logo right along the very back there. Pops nicely. Along the front end of the fob, we've got our emergency access key. We can also lock a few compartments there using this key, but we've got our unlock button, our lock button, the option for remote start, as well as our Horner panic alarm. Now, in order to be able to remote start this thing, as long as you've got the automatic transmission, you're just going to push the circle button twice. You can see there it's remote started, and then canceling, we just press that circle button once, and remote start is canceled. And it's that simple being able to use it. Taking a peek along our driver's side here, we do have our heated side mirrors with the option for a blind spot system when we get in one of the advanced safety packages. So it is nice that is available there if you want it. Taking a peek along the driver's side itself. So we've got a little button on the outside of the door here. So pushing that is going to let us either lock or unlock the doors, which is fantastic. As long as we've got our key fob on us. But taking a peek on the inside, so we'll start off on the door here. We've got this nice stitching along the door that follows all the way throughout the dash as well, around the steering wheel. Looks fantastic. Now we do have our handle there, basic lock unlock button, base door unlock. We've got our side view mirror control as well, little handle, and then we've also got our door storage there, so we've got our pocket storage, which is great. Now, the seats inside of the Wrangler, few different options that are available. This one is the optional leather seat, but we'll get into the seats in a moment. But this gives us the flexibility of adjusting what's going on with our lumbar support. We can also adjust our seats. We can move it up and down. We can adjust our backrest. And then we've also got a bar right in between our legs there. Bring it up a tiny little bit. There you go. So we've got a bar there if we need to move the seat forwards and backwards as well. But on the inside, you can see we've got a series of different buttons available here. This is going to let us figure out what's going on with our running lamps. I always just recommend keeping to the auto setting. We can also toggle our fog lamps on or off, and then we can adjust what's going on with the brightness of our cluster screen. Oh yeah. This thing is spacious. The seat is comfortable. I did mention we've got a few options for the seats, and it's going to depend on which trim level you're in and which options you've added on from the factory. We've got cloth seats, leather-lined seats. We've also got full leather seats. So it's going to depend on what do you want out of your vehicle. But I love it. We've got our Sahara seats here, which, I mean, this tan color looks really nice. We've got a Sahara badge right along the middle, obviously because this is a Sahara trim level of the Wrangler. But really, really nice overall. Oh, this is cool. You know, looking at the amount of space inside of this thing, it's actually really, really nice. Like, I'm 6 feet tall, so hold on. With the seat, okay, that's down as far as it'll go. Up overhead. Okay, so this is interesting. Up overhead, I've got, like, my head is maybe about half an inch or so, roughly, from touching the bar in the back here. So I'm 6 feet tall. I guess I might have the seat forward typically a little bit more. Okay, there we go. So with the seat set up the way that I typically would, okay, the back, not as much of a big deal now, but I've got maybe, what's that? Towards the back end there, 2.5, maybe 3 inches of headspace. So not a ton of space up overhead, but one cool thing, we can pull that little release on the side there in order to, well, I mean, we can go back pretty much, just look at this. I can like take a nap inside of this thing. This is wild. That's actually really cool. All right, so we can nap if we want to inside of our Wrangler, but I mean, having the headrest back, or the seat back, so yeah, same thing. I'm like 3 roughly inches of headspace there. So I mean, if you're like 6'3", 6'4", 6'5", maybe you'll probably comfortably be able to fit inside of this model of the vehicle. So we've got our assist handles, driver passenger side for the first and for the second row. This is nice. I mentioned we've got that white stitching. It follows all the way throughout parts of the dash there, all throughout the steering wheel. This is really sharp. Now the steering wheel in the Wrangler lineup, we are going to be a manual telescoping. So just by our left knee, we've got a release, in, out, up and down. Ooh, that steering wheel feels nice. Ooh, that's really cool. Squirrel, but really, really nice feel for the steering wheel. And we do have the option for heated steering wheel on top of that, just depending on which trim level of the vehicle that you're in. And that even follows through to the seats. So we do have the option for heated first row seats inside of this, which is phenomenal. But let's dive into it. Looking at the steering wheel itself, tons of different options available. Stick on the left-hand side for our blinkers, flasher high beams. Right-hand side is going to be for our front and then for our rear windshield wiper as well. Different cluster screens that are available, but you've got 2 options available there, again, depending on your trim. Buttons on the left-hand side are going to let us control what's going on in that cluster screen. We can answer or hang up with a phone call, and we've also got a voice command prompt. Off to the right-hand side, we at least have regular cruise control with the option for the adaptive cruise instead. Like I said, the steering wheel, the feel of it is nice. It feels premium. I like it. We've got all these like metallic highlights that follow all the way throughout the steering wheel, our Jeep badge in the middle there. Not too shabby. But those same like metallic highlights we see there follow all the way throughout parts of the dash, down the center stack too. But we've got a few different options for the media screen. So it's either going to be a 7-inch uConnect 4, or we've got the 8.4-inch uConnect 4C. So the 23 Wrangler is still on the previous gen uConnect technology. One of the big differences is that inside of the newer uConnect, it's wireless Android Auto, Apple CarPlay versus wired when we get into the uConnect 4C. Now that Android Auto, Apple CarPlay is not going to be available across the entire lineup as well. But if you're looking for like a more in-depth look at how to use the media screen, or if you want to know how to use the steering wheel cluster, things like that, check down in the description below. I've put together some comprehensive videos that go over how all of this stuff works. But like I said, some basics here. The media screen inside of this thing, it's functional. Like we've got all of our basic climate control settings, some other controls for our seats. So heated seats, we can turn off our auto dimming rear view mirror, things like that. All right, so I gotta say, the sound inside of this thing is unbelievable. Like the artist is great, but just the bass, the way this thing sounds, and it's because of the upgraded Alpine sound system. So we've got our speakers all over the place, either an 8 speaker for a regular sound, or when we get into the premium, the Alpine, that's going to be a 9 speaker instead. It's really nice though. But you can see we've got our volume rocker there. Oh yes, smooth yes. So we've got our volume rocker. We can also turn the screen off there if we want to, just by pushing this button. We've also got a bunch of climate control settings here. So we've got our front versus rear defroster, heated steering wheel, heated driver's seat available, passenger seat is an option. Do we want to go into our windshield face feet, some sort of combination, air conditioning, circulation? Do we want to adjust what's going on with our fan speed? Do we want to turn the fan off, or do we want to have the vehicle determine what the temperature should be inside? We've also got our tuning rocker down here as well, so we can easily adjust out this way if we want to. We can mute out our audio. We can toggle off our engine start-stop, so the one that's potentially going to kill power to the engine if we're stopped for an extended period of time. We can toggle on our traction control system, so on-off there. We've got our hill descent control. We've also got our screen off. So we can turn the screen off a few different ways there. Let's say we've got a 12 volt power point there. We've also got some different media options. So this is really cool. Love the like old school flip style there, but we've got 2 USB ports, so a USB-C as well as a USB. We've also got a 3.5mm jack there. So I love the fact that we've got this available as an option in Jeeps. So we just plug in one of the old auxiliary cables there if we want to. Because this is a Jeep, we can take our doors off. We've got all of our window controls there as well. We can also kill off power to those rear windows if we want to. We've got a little tiny storage tray down there. And then we've also got 4 individual auxiliary switches. So if we're wiring up things like floodlights for off-roading, whatever the case may be, you've got the flexibility to adjust it. And then through the media screen, you can also adjust certain things, like do you want it running off of the battery, ignition, things like that as well. It's really, really cool. But one thing I love about the shifter, hold on, as we drop down, we've actually got a few different ones that are available. So we've got our one shifter here, and this is going to be to change out between 2 high, 4 high, neutral, or 4 low. So each one of these modes is going to do something different. You're going to want to be in 2 high the majority of the time. If you're going through like deep snowy conditions, 4 high, neutral, obviously, and then we've also got our 4 low setting. So 4 low is useful if we're doing like rugged off-roading, heavy-duty towing, things like that. From here, we've got the shifter, and I mean, this thing, it feels really nice in the hand, and I don't know if you, oh, there we go, hold on, look at that. We've also got this like old school Jeep inside of this thing as well, which is really cool. But we've got this like red little button along the side. I feel like a Men in Black almost, kind of, it's kind of cool. But we've got our little shifter there, and again, feels really nice. Park, reverse, neutral, drive, or we drop over in order to get into our manual mode in order to switch out gears this way if we want to. 2 individual cup holders here. We've got like a little phone storage area, I would probably say as well, so it's kind of neat. We've got that as an option. And then we've also got our manual parking brake there as well. And then we've got an armrest that has multi-tiered storage. It's like a multi-level marketing storage. It's kind of cool. But our main storage area there, we've got a little removable tray. Out from that, we've got actually a boatload of space. Yay deep. And we've also got another USB power point in there as well. So that's kind of cool because we've got power points everywhere. We've got our USB power points in the center stack, USB power in here, and this is, I just noticed, is also lockable, which is great. And then we've got a boatload of power points in the second row, which is fantastic. Moving up overhead, I did mention, so this one does have the auto-dimming rear view mirror, which we could turn off that auto-dimming function right through the middle screen. We also do have, I've got to show you this is really cool. Okay, so before I get to the roof, because this one is slightly different, we do also have our assist and our SOS mode overhead. We've got a garage door opener, so if we've got one at home, we can easily program that in. Little business card holder in the front and the rear there. Visor with a vanity mirror, built-in lights. And this thing is going to stretch out to pretty much block all of the sun that might be hitting your eyes as you go, which is great. But I did mention this roof is kind of different. When we look at roof choices inside of the Wrangler, we've got the option for a soft top, hard top, we've got a tri-piece hard top, and then we've got this, which is the Sky One Touch. It's really cool. So, just going to go into our accessory mode there. Watch this. Let there be light and overexposure in the camera. So this thing, like panoramic sunroof, how far back does this go? Damn. That's impressive. Look at how far back that goes. Just opens things up like so nicely, which, I mean, I love it. That looks really, really nice. So, this is what happens when you forget to shoot all of the video. We've got a slightly different interior, slightly different haircut, because we're a couple of weeks after shooting the first part of the video, but I forgot I had to do spacing for second row. So, let's dive into it. Second row inside of the Wrangler is actually fairly spacious. So I've got the driver's seat set up for myself, 6 feet tall, and then realistic, I've got a good amount of knee space, good amount of foot space, and up overhead, boatloads of head space. So 6'4", 6'5", you'll probably comfortably be able to fit in the second row of this thing, no problem. But when we look at third, because we do have 3 seats back here, could you fit 3 full-size versions of me? it might be like a little bit tight for whoever's in the middle seat, depending on how like broad-shouldered they are. But I mean, realistically, you could do it. Like, you'd be able to do it no problem. Like, it's really, really straightforward there. But I mean, the seats all around, like even in these slightly different ones, they are very comfortable at the same time, which is great. But feature-wise back here, we've got a little cabin control light up overhead. We've got some different things with the door itself. And I did mention the doors in this thing, first row and second row, can be fully taken out, which is great. We've got some pockets behind the first row seats. Ooh, I love this. We've got our cup holders back here as well. Really, really nice. But this is good overall. Like I said, like the seat comfortability is fantastic. I like it. Now, if we look just behind the armrest for the first row, we've got some basic vent controls there. We've got our window buttons, so we can roll down our windows for the second row seats. And from there, we've got a few USB power points. Ooh, boatload of USB power points. So we've got 2 USB, 2 USB-C, and then there's a 115 watt traditional wall outlet back there as well. Oh, that's actually surprisingly comfortable seat. That's nice. 2-way adjustable headrest. And I mean, the seats themselves, so this one is leather, which is going to be optional inside of the Sahara trim level. But I mean, you've got cloth seats as a default in the Wrangler lineup in general. So it's like cloth seats, leather trimmed versus full leather seats. It's kind of nice. Where are these clowns going? What are you doing, fella? This guy's like pulled out right into the middle of the intersection. It's so bad. Like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing now. People. Oh, that's funny. I love it. He just like stood there, I should say, just like stopped there like, you're in my way, man. You're in my way. People. Love it. Oh, this is nice. I'm very curious what road noise is going to be like in this thing. But I'm going to go to a little bit of a trail instead. Oh, low fuel. I'll have enough to get back. Yeah, I've got like a quarter tank left. More than enough. More than enough for my purposes right now. Now, one thing, this has the option for useful technology like a blind spot system. So it's in one of the safety groups inside of the Wrangler. I personally, I've come to love that blind spot system. A little bit of road noise, but I mean, it's not terrible all at the same time. But yeah, so like I've kind of become accustomed to things like the blind spot system. It's not standard across the Wrangler lineup, but it is available there as an option, which is definitely a nice thing. And just like listen to this, like the top's open. The road noise actually isn't, again, like I'm only going 60 right now, about to go up to 80, but like the road noise in this thing is actually not bad at all. Going over some bumps. Not too shabby, but here we go. Same thing. Respectable pickup and go in this thing, and this is just the regular 3.6 Pentastar. Like, I can only imagine, so the Jeep has the option for the Rubicon 392, where you've got the 6.4 liter Hemi V8. Like, night and day amounts of power inside of that thing. But, I mean, this is still, it's like a respectable amount of power inside of it. Not too bad. And like I said, the road noise, I'm like shocked at how quiet it actually seems inside of this thing right now with the roof open. That's really cool. Huh. What do you say when the pigeons try to cross the road? Oh no, they're crossing the road in all the wrong ways. Get out of the way, guys. Oh, that's funny. All right, here we go. A little bit of like a trail type of situation in a second. This is pretty nice though. I feel like Ace Ventura, like loser. Nobody wants to play with me. This is actually pretty nice though. All right, I can't go there because that's somebody's house. Yeah, it's the next driveway. All right. Here we go. Let's see, and it's not a trail, it's just like a teeny little thing to head towards a trail, but we'll see. We got some, oh yeah, some bumps, some nice size bumps there. It's a Jeep. This one's got 33-inch rubber, so I mean, like, that doesn't surprise me that it's able to do that. Nice. Look at this. B-E-A. Beautiful. Oh, this is really nice. Really nice. Like purposely trying to go for bumps, but like, I get it, it's a new Jeep, but I mean at the same time, like this suspension is amazing. Cool. I like it. That's really nice. Not too shabby. So that was a quick look at the 2023 Jeep Wrangler Sahara. What did you think? Pretty straightforward, but so many options and such great capability all at the same time. But if you have any questions, drop down in the comment section below and let me know. More than willing to talk you through any issues that you may be having. You should definitely connect with Pickering Jeep though. If you're after a Jeep vehicle or even a Dodge, Chrysler, whatever the case may be, they've got you covered. You can find their contact info down in the description on top of that. But if you enjoyed this video, thumbs up, share it with your social networks if you know somebody who might find this video useful. And until I see you next time, take care. And then also links off to Pickering Chrysler, who is the partner which let me use this vehicle for today. One of the big benefits of having those beadlock, we've got our bumper there with our single rear tow hook, and that's gonna be